the Genio Notes page. This is just after you've logged in. I'll save you having to see that. In the top right, you've got Open Menu, where you can change from dark mode to light mode. I prefer dark. In here as well, you can change the color of the buttons. In dark mode, it shows slightly differently, but I prefer blue. So there we go. Also up in this top right hand corner, you've got the Cloud Sync. What that does is synchronize like your phone submissions and laptop submissions together. So everything should be shown here. As you can see, there's a number of events that have already been recorded, some that have got a collection that they're adhered to. There's this one here that isn't. If I generate a new event, straight away I can add a name. So if I do meeting for Teams, for instance, that's the title. If there are slides involved, so say that this is a lecture, I can import the slides at this point. Usually universities do post them the day that they do the lecture, usually. If not, you can always import it at a later date. Once it's imported, the slides are there. So once they're imported, it shouldn't matter. You can post them, which basically means that as you play back, it'll show the correct slide. If you don't post any, it'll just keep all of them available and you can scroll through them at the bottom. Yeah. Now, if I click on record, I can choose the microphone. So the microphone that's connected to the laptop. This can be a directional microphone that you might have been given through DSA as well, but generally it'll be the microphone that's connected to the laptop. It's great for in-person meetings as well as lectures and various other things in person. You can record screen audio, which is the sound emitted from the laptop. That doesn't include the microphone unless if you choose this bottom option, which is screen audio and mic. For the example, I'm just going to do screen audio. You can do it via tabs. So if you're only using Microsoft Edge, you can choose specifically, in this example, the YouTube video that's attached there. However, if you've got something like Firefox open at the same time, like I've got iPlayer, if I wanted to listen to the audio of that, doing it through the tab audio won't work. I would have to either choose window, which keeps it within the window that's open. So in this circumstance, you've got the meetings, Teams type, various windows that are open, not necessarily the software that's open. So if I go to entire screen, that'll be anything on the laptop. And personally, I think that's the best option when you're recording. If I choose screen 2, you'll have to ensure that you choose this option at the bottom. Also share system sound or system audio. In window, again, if it's not displayed on there, you'll want to select this share system audio. Unfortunately, by default, it comes off. So just ensure that you tick that because then it means that anywhere that you're playing sound on your system, it will pick it up. So if I click share now, that's now recording. If I hit the pause button, that'll allow me to hit the record button again without having to change those settings or reapply them rather. If I was to hit the stop button, that would end the recording, and therefore if I click the record button, it will ask me again, do I want to do microphone, etc. Over here on the right, this is where the recording gets placed. As I add events like heading or important, it'll do it on that timeline. I'll show you an example of that in a second. Transcript, that's usually done at the end of recording. Once you've told it to transcribe the audio, you can leave the application totally and it will be handled by the servers at Genio. Um, Same with outline. The difference being that transcript is word for word what's been said. So every single word that's been said during a presentation will be transcribed in that format. Outline will give you the basic headings. So if there's a pause between speakers and the next speaker says, this part is about, it will generally create a new heading in there. Um, it's not the same as creating a manual heading, but outline is useful for jumping between large segments or, say, an hour-long lecture. It's a very quick and easy way to browse through it. So if I go back to audio, resume my recording, so the line's going across. If I go to Firefox and just play a bit of this, so as you can see on the recording, you've got like a thicker bar. That means that audio was received. The thin, just single line is there's nothing being recorded at the moment. If I jump to the YouTube video, so as that's recording, you've got the thicker line. If I mute it, it goes back to the single line. So that's that. Now, whilst it's recording, in fact, I can post headings. So if the lecture in this example was talking about biology, say, I could add a heading here and type in biology, MRSA, MRSA. Hitting this post heading button will create it as a heading. Now, depending on whether you're doing this live or later, doesn't really matter. Um, where you, or when you click rather, it does memorize that moment. So if I do an important chunk, um, bacteria types, for instance, press return. So at a later time when I'm playing this back, I can literally click on the play button and it will take me back to that timestamp, or at least maybe a few seconds before, and play that section. It's a good way of outlining various key points. So that review button is so that you go back to it, re-listen over it, add a new header if you need it. Also in here, you can post screenshots. So if I wanted to do a screen grab, it's as easy as pressing that button. Obviously, if you're playing a video on a second screen, using this on your primary screen and the video on your second, you can utilize the two quite easily if you've chosen that second screen. Because I've chosen the same screen that I'm recording from, it's just going to take a photo of the screen that's being recorded. Another way to mitigate that would be to literally drag it away. Oops, minimize that one. So if I now just do the news and clicking on screen grab, I'll bring it back so you can see. The screen grab is of the BBC News thing. So just remember to choose the screen that you're not recording, or move the stuff that you are recording, sorry, the Genio tab to another screen to be able to do that quite easily. You can post images, which is opening a file. If I click on it, You can either do a search for Google Images or import by file, and that'll just post the image on there. Um, if I do a definition, so bacteria, for instance, give it a search, should come back pretty quick. So if I choose this first one, there we go. We've got the Wikipedia quote in there just to help the listener understand the words that are being said, you might say. Um, the interesting one here for me is this tasks. So if I was to write homework, assignment, for instance, I can add a due date. So if I choose next month first and post that, that creates a task that I can view from another screen. They are actually quite useful if you like that system of having multiple things in the same place. Um, you can add a scribble, so if you had a phone with a stylus, you can directly write in there. Quick Notes just basically removes the text box. So if I was to choose heading, I have to come back at a later time to add that in. If you're doing it through the phone app, it can be more useful so that you're not having to tap away on the screen to give it a heading and everything like that. But generally, I think leaving the quick notes off is useful. You can just generally write a segment, for instance, and hit post, and that'll just give you a dot that you've made a note at that point. So any circumstance that you want to give like a little bit of a notation to what's being said, you can add that in. So if I just now pause that. So in here we've got a heading up there, we've got an important one, a review, and various notes or these secondary like posted screenshots, tasks, and the rest of it. Now, if I wanted, I can turn on closed caption. Whilst it's recording, it should transcribe what it hears. Do note that because I've chosen screen record, it won't pick up my microphone. And today, of all days, it's been acting a bit weird, so let's see if we get lucky. There we go. If I pause that, I'll just move it to the second screen because it's not necessarily required. When you pause it, unfortunately, it disappears on you. Also, when you turn it off, it will lose its place. So if I resume, so it's currently giving that information. Turn it off, turn it back on. There we go. If I pause that there. So as you can see, it's recorded the new stuff that's been said since I've activated it, but it's lost the information from before. So if I turn off closed caption and stop the recording there. If I go across to transcript, now that the recording stopped, I can actually leave this page entirely. So I can come out of there, do something totally different. Um, I can tell it to transcribe the audio. Now, if it was in French, you would need to choose French and then translate to English at a later time. It doesn't translate, but it was in English, so I can click transcribe. So that's now transcribing. It's doing the work on the server. So it, fingers crossed, should be pretty quick at coming up with what's been said. The good thing is I can leave and do some other stuff. So if I come into this one, for instance, this one's been transcribed. If I was to jump to the audio side, choose that and play back, I can have a look in the transcript at what's being said at the time. But if I jump a bit further, there we go. So as can be seen, you can watch essentially the captions as they're coming through rather than just relying on sound or vice versa. Um, cannot generate transcript at least 70 words, that's fine. So if I jump back to the meetings one, so this is finished now. If I jump to this part, why aren't you playing? It's weird. Right. It's awfully strange that it's not allowing me to jump to these sections. I wonder why. Hmm. It might be because there was no audio in that section that it's not allowing me to jump to it. If I go to another transcript, which I've unfortunately not created any posts, so if I do heading something there, at least this shows how you can add various different parts to it. Do a couple random ones. Do a review there. It should show it chronologically. So there you go. Review is above the important, despite me doing it second. If I come down here and add a task, task whoop, for the Dragon 16 tutorial. Due date, give it March 1st. Done. Right. So if I click on something, there we go. So it jumps to the part that you're wanting to listen to, so long as there's audio. There we go. You can always delete by going over here and delete group. Try that one. That's working fine. Adding a card, I believe that's just adding further notes into the section here. You can reposition that then by grabbing those two bars on the far right. Delete that one. So the task aspect of it, if I go back to the home screen here under tasks, we've now got the homework assignment showing up and the test for Dragon. If I click the tick, it'll disappear out of that list. There should be a way to review the ones that are completed. View completed tasks down at the bottom there. So if I click on that, I can review the ones that have been already ticked. So if I click on this homework assignment one, it should take me back into the meetings for Teams that I was doing, straight back to this section. If there was an area to play back, in fact, if I go to the completed task, go for the Dragon one, I can re-listen to. There we go. So if there was a section where the tutor or whomever is talking about the task itself, if you've created a task in there, you can directly jump into the lecture and listen to that clip. So it helps just to give you a booster on the information that you need for that. Collections is how you group the various different things together. So in here, I've got test, assistive tech, training, War of the Worlds, physics, biology. So to add to a collection, all I need to do is find the event that I want, click add. I can either add it to an existing one, or generate a new collection. So call this test for meeting. Confirm that. Straight away it pops it in. If I click on add to collection, it's now there at the bottom. If I go to the collections, I can change how they're organized. So I can do it by total events. I can also change whether it's ascending or descending. And the search option here, this allows you to search for any keywords. So for instance, mRNA, which is a biology thing. Was it MRSA I wrote? So in here, we've got the biology MRSA. If I click on it, it takes me directly to that title. Um, if I was to type in world, so it'll take me to the collections, War of the Worlds, events, War of the Worlds, and also in the transcript, where the two times that I've used the word world, I can directly go into the transcript to review that word. It's very good for keywords. So say that in one of your lectures, it was specifically talking about something that you needed to look at. Just type it into search and you should be able to find the lecture. Trash, that gives you about 90 days, as it says at the top there. Events in trash will be permanently deleted in 90 days. You can click on that empty trash and it'll get rid of them straight off. Um, that's basically everything for Genio notes. Hopefully this is useful to you and I might see you at another session. Thank you.